You were sold a digital fairy tale. You were promised that the one was a single, effortless swipe away. Big tech told us that they had solved the oldest, most complex problem in human history, finding a partner. They marketed it as a liberation, love at your fingertips 24/7. But today, the honeymoon phase with these apps is officially over. The data tells us a much darker story. Instead of a romantic revolution, we're seeing a crisis of connection. We have more burnout than ever. Ghosting has become a social norm, and an entire generation feels more like a row of replaceable products than they do human beings. If you feel like dating apps are rigged against you, you're not being cynical. You're being observant. Today, we're diving deep into the cold, hard math behind the swipe economy and the psychological traps that prove these apps aren't designed to find you love. They are meticulously engineered to keep you searching. To understand why your feed feels like a desert, we have to look at the dating economy. On platforms like Tinder, the gender imbalance is staggering, with men outnumbering women nearly 4-1. The market is fundamentally broken before you even upload your first photo. There is this statistical measure that economists like to use called the Gini coefficient, and is used to measure wealth inequality within a nation. A score of 0 is perfect equality. A score of 1 is a total monopoly. When researchers applied this to the like economy of dating apps, the results were shocking. The male economy on Tinder was found to score a whopping score of 0.58. To put that in perspective, the dating app economy is more unequal than the national economies of 98% of the world. As of 2026, there are only 2 countries that have higher inequality than Tinder for men: South Africa and Namibia. It is a world of super haves and have-nots, and by the time you get to Hinge, that coefficient climbs to an astronomical level of 0.73. To put this in real numbers, studies have been found to show that the median male match rate on dating apps is roughly 0.6%, which equates to 1 match for every 167 swipes. Meanwhile, the median match rate for women has been found to be anywhere from 10% to as high as 41% depending on the app. Most men can't even fathom getting 1 match for every 10 swipes, let alone 1 match for every 3. This creates 2 different versions of hell. The average man has to swipe right on hundreds of profiles just to receive a single hello, leading to a sense of total invisibility and swipe fatigue. Meanwhile, the average woman is hit with such a tidal wave of low effort attention that meaningful evaluation becomes impossible. It's a winner-take-all system where the top 20% of profiles receive nearly all the engagement while everyone else is left shouting into a digital void. But here's the real fundamental conflict of interest that nobody wants to talk about. A dating app that works perfectly is an app that destroys its own user base. Think about it. If you find the one today, you do the one thing that the company fears most. You delete the app. You stop seeing their ads, and you stop paying $30 a month for platinum status or for things like super likes. The Match Group is a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded entity, and their fiduciary responsibility isn't to your happy ending, it's to their shareholders, and shareholders demand retention. Research from Carnegie Mellon suggests that these apps utilize something called popularity bias. The algorithm doesn't necessarily show you who you'd actually get along with. It shows you high engagement, aspirational profiles to keep you hooked. It's a dopamine loop designed by the same types of engineers who build Las Vegas slot machines. They've turned the search for a soulmate into a gamified search mode, where you're conditioned to value the hit of the match more than the person behind it. You aren't the customer, you are the inventory. And you'd think more choice would make us happier, but psychology tells us the exact opposite happens when the options become infinite. A landmark study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that when people were presented with a massive pool of potential dates, they were significantly less satisfied with their final choice than those who chose from a small curated group. Why? Because of opportunity cost. When you have 500 matches, you are constantly haunted by the idea that someone 5% better or even 1% better is just a few more swipes away. And it's even been found that 78% of users report emotional exhaustion, 62% of users have been ghosted in the past year, and users of apps like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge are 2.5 times more likely to report psychological distress. This infinite scroll leads to decision fatigue and, more dangerously, dehumanization. When we view people through a glass screen as a series of static images and bios, we stop seeing them as complex humans with feelings and start seeing them as disposable digital assets. This is the root of the ghosting epidemic. If a person is just a data point, why bother with the effort of a polite rejection? We've traded the vulnerability of real-world interaction for the efficient, cold exhaustion of digital dismissal. So you would assume that the struggle at least pays off once you find a partner, but even that data is beginning to turn sour. Recent sociologists are studying what they call the online dating effect, and emerging research shows that couples who meet on modern swipe-based apps often report lower levels of marital satisfaction and higher rates of divorce compared to those who met through friends, work, or shared hobbies. The reason is simple. Organic couples usually share a social network. They have mutual friends and community accountability. Meanwhile, app-based couples often start as total strangers in a vacuum, lacking the social glue that helps a relationship survive its first major storm. And so the takeaway isn't that you're unmatchable or that love is dead, it's that the tools we're using are fundamentally misaligned with our biology. The apps aren't broken, they're working perfectly. They are designed to keep you engaged, paying, and perpetually searching for a better option that may not exist. And if you're tired of the game, the most radical thing you can do is delete the software. Go back to the slow way. Meet someone where the algorithm can't track your preferences and where a person is more than just 0.6% chance of a right swipe. Stop swiping, start living, and thanks for watching.